Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. We are live. It's Monday night. It's another Premier League weekend in the bag. League of Ireland, League Division 1, the whole lot. We're going to be taking a look at a lot of stuff tonight. We're going to be typically looking at the run-in. We're going to be looking at the European action coming up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well. Marky will be joining us shortly. He's just busy sorting out a few things, and then he will be on. But as always, folks, the Monday show, the mashup, is sponsored by Hogan Elite Trophy Hire. So if you could go over to Facebook and Instagram and give them a like or a follow, and if you have any requirements at all, doesn't matter if it's a communion, confirmation, whatever it is. He's even done funerals there, Marky. Whatever it is, that special occasion, if you need the trophies, hit up Marky, let him know you're a subscriber, let him know you're a follower, let him know that you do be on the podcast, and Marky will hook you up, no doubt about it. So that's it. That's our sponsor, Hogan Elite Trophy Hire. Don't forget to give it a follow. Let's get into the comments first. And we start off, obviously, my own one first, folks. Make sure we're taking a look, folks, tonight with Kevin De Bruyne announcing he's leaving Man City. Not sure where he's going to talk, as he was going to Saudi and stuff like that. But what we want you to do in the chat tonight is give us an idea of your top 5 midfielders of all time in the Premier League. And if KDB isn't in your top 5, let us know where you rank Kevin De Bruyne in your all-time midfield ranking for the Premier League. Let us know your thoughts on that. Dino's in early, out of the blocks. Kane, Gerrard, Lampard, Vieira, and KDB. Interesting. Very interesting. Salah apparently agreed new deal in principle with Liverpool. Niall, it's great to hear that as well. And I believe Virgil van Dijk is on the verge of one as well. I read today, actually, that Salah may have taken a pay cut to extend the deal even further, maybe to get that third year over the line. So let's see what happens. Remember to bring the crotchless stuff to Vegas. Yeah, mad thing. Sorry, wrong group. Hurry up. Yeah, hurry up. Big up, Philip. Thanks for joining us again. Mark, you'll be along shortly as well. We have that good roundup, Philip, as well. League of Ireland and the Division 1 as well. Baz is in. Big up, Baz. Good to see you, pal. Good crack today, as always, with Mahoney. And William's in as well. What's up, lads? Big up, William. Thanks for joining us as well. Let me know in the chat as well, folks. While we're waiting on Marky to join us, we can have a bit of fun in the chat and stuff like that. What have you made of the Premier League this year? A lot of people talking about it being a poor season, all this kind of thing, and a lot of stuff is going to be decided. It looks like Liverpool are potentially going to run out champions by the looks of things. But looking at tonight as well, especially with Newcastle being 3-0 up at half-time, it should be a lot more. Leicester look way out of their depth at the moment. So it looks like the relegation battle is done and dusted with 7 games to go. We've seen Southampton at the weekend going down. I think the likes of Leicester and Ipswich will follow them pretty quickly as well, to be honest. Some tough games coming up for both teams. But let us know how you're feeling overall. I mean, if you take Liverpool out of the league, that race for top 4, top 5, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely electric. It's changing every single week. There's anywhere up to 6, 7, 8 teams maybe in the running for European spots. So it's looking pretty good at the moment, The midfield selection is solely on the spot thinking. Never really thought about it, bro. Well, take some time and have a think about it. There's no problem. There's no panic on it. You know what I mean? You can pop it in at any stage during the show. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's very hard to exclude KDB, isn't it, out of the top 5? Philip is in with his. Let's see Philip's. My top 5 midfielders are Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Paul Scholes, KDB, and Steven Gerrard. Interesting, Philip. Interesting. And it was interesting because I took down Gimme Sport did a review of this as well. And it'll be interesting. I'll show you in a bit a slide where what their results were for their top 10. When you think about the midfielders that we've had in the Premier League, it's absolutely sensational. This is only the top 10. But they did it. They did it based on some other parameters. They actually did it based on goals, assists, trophies, expectation, longevity, and quality of teams represented. So they kind of put in a lot of parameters into their one in terms of coming up with their. I think they did a top 25 list, but I just pulled the top 10. So I didn't want to go too far down in it. But it was interesting as well. Interesting news coming out at the weekend. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne will be leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. Phenomenal footballer. And I have to say, I do hate, regardless of your colours or regardless of your rivalry or your tribalism or anything like that, I do be a little bit disappointed when really, really good players leave the Premier League. Like if Salah wasn't assigned for Liverpool and he was to go off somewhere else, I'd feel the league is lesser for it and stuff like that. And KDB, regardless of how you feel about Man City, the 115, the money, all the other stuff that goes with it, this is a guy who goes on the pitch week in, week out, and he's been absolutely electric for what? Guts of a decade or whatever it is. Absolutely phenomenal player. So we shall see, KDB, Steven Gerrard, Dino's in. I don't think it's poor, actually. I think with the table shows the strength of it. People thinking because City are so off, and if that's been a bad season overall. Yeah, I think like when you look at it, I think, and we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast as well, I had said to people, they were talking about it being a bad Premier League season, stuff like that. And I said, well, go ask Brighton, has it been a bad Premier League season? Go ask Bournemouth. Go ask Brentford. Go ask Fulham. Go ask Nottingham Forest. Go ask Aston Villa. Ask all these teams. These are the teams, Newcastle. These are the teams that are performing. Go ask them how bad a season it has been. I don't think the season can be judged on the basis of a City drop-off. We've had drop-offs sometimes as well. Hasn't made it a bad season. But, just because City have dropped off and United are in the doldrums and Spurs are horrific and, every opportunity we've given Arsenal to really close the gap and get into a title race, they faltered and they haven't taken advantage. It doesn't necessarily make it a bad Premier League season. Now, I have to say, when you look at the football in terms of the entertainment value and the quality of the football sometimes that we're seeing on the pitch, you can see tonight, obviously, with Newcastle playing Leicester, how good it has looked and stuff like that, how good Newcastle have looked. They've been absolutely brilliant. And 3-0 up, 3 really good goals. But Leicester looked terrible, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know. It's very hard to judge it. Big up, Brian. Thanks for joining us. Big win at the weekend, Brian. Ryan will be talking about it. Awesome stuff. Just know a big up, mate. No. Marky will be on shortly. He's just tending to one of the daughters or something like that. So he said he'd be on shortly. So we're expecting him shortly. Ryan, we're just having a chat as well. If you want to give us your ideas, we're looking for your all-time Premier League top 5 midfielders, with KDB announcing, Kevin De Bruyne announcing that he's leaving Man City at the end of the season. We thought we'd look at where KDB stands in that listing. Where would you put him? And if he's not in your top 5, and I'm not saying he has to be because it's a personal preference, let me know if he's not in your top 5, in and around, where would you rank him and why? Basically, it's just to get an idea. It's just a fun topic for tonight, I don't think it's a bad season despite Liverpool running away with the league. It was good to see teams like Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Notts Forest, Villa and Newcastle having standout seasons. Absolutely. You ask any of those teams, even Palace, who had such a stuttery start at the beginning of the season as well, have come good so well at the moment and stuff like that and all, So, but yeah, I think so. It's a weird kind of narrative because sometimes you hear it like in. And how do you feel about the quality of football that we're watching? Not necessarily, okay, City dropped off, United dropped off, Spurs dropped off, whatever it is dropped off. But what about what you're watching week in, week out? Are you being entertained? Is it repetitive? Is everyone kind of playing similar tactics and formations now that nearly put you to sleep? I know at times when I'm watching my own team, Liverpool, I can get really, really frustrated just by lobbing balls into the box constantly from left to right and stuff like that and all. And it just gets repetitive and monotonous and stuff like that and all, as opposed to now. I think at times when we're on the break and we transition really, really quick and stuff like that, it's electric to watch and very entertaining. But how have you felt about that? Have you felt like you've been entertained this season? And look, being entertained, sometimes your team winning can be entertaining, you know what I mean? They don't necessarily have to play well. I know my team this season has had an awful lot of results where they haven't necessarily played well. And you could argue maybe they weren't even the best team on the day, but they seem to be able to grind out the result and put the points on the board. Ryan, the standard of the Premier League has been the lowest I've seen in years, in my opinion. Nothing against Liverpool, though. Still a great title win. Oh, tough one this is. Yeah, let me know. Think about it. There's no rush. Take your time doing it as well. I mean, the standard of the football is not being good. I watch La Liga and Serie A, and people claim these leagues are farmers' leagues. Yet the football is actually of a higher quality. So you're not necessarily talking about results or how the table looks around like that. You're talking about what you're physically seeing on the screen, the actual style and the quality of the football. I mean, we see it sometimes week in, week out in the Premier League, don't we? Like you look at this Leicester side tonight, they're shocking, absolutely shocking against Newcastle. You know what I mean? It's so strange. And Leicester they've been awful under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Since Ruud went in, I know he took over a tough ship as well, but since he took over, it's been an absolute disaster. Here, drink of water. Let me see. What else do we want? What else have we got in here? Let's have a quick look at the run-in. We'll go through the results when Marky joins us. But let's have a look at the run-in. What's your thinking on the run-in, folks? I'll bring it up here so we can actually see it. There we go. How do we think this run-in is going to play out? Ryan, first of all, yeah, no, the quality of football is pretty poor these days in the Premier League. I've just found myself this season not enjoying many games, and is that a general reflection of football? Because I know, Ryan, you've been on the show quite a bit in the chat, and you've had quite a tough season as a Wolves fan. At times, it's been really, really good, but for the longest time as well, it's been tough for you as well. So, is that just a reflection of the general football, or is it, just your season and how it's gone with Wolves and stuff like that? As you said, you follow Serie A and La Liga and stuff like that now, but is it a general comment? Yeah, it's hard to. I suppose for me as a Liverpool fan, I'm at the stage now with the way the season has gone. Obviously, huge disappointment with the Champions League and with the Carabao Cup, but obviously with the league, I don't really care about the performances at the moment. I just want the 3 points on the board. That's why yesterday's game was so frustrating. But at this stage, when you get to the stage and you're so close to getting over the line, you really just want the points on the board. Like, literally, we're playing West Ham, I think, on Sunday, I think it is. And, I'm happy for a ball to go in off Jared Bowen's backside and win 1-0, to be honest. I'm not too worried about performance at the minute. I see United, Liverpool and Arsenal could be affected by Trump's tariffs being brought in. Potentially. Yeah. Although I don't think, in what way, Philip? Expand on that and let me know, because I actually haven't really. I do a bit of crypto trading as well, and I can see he's absolutely horsing us over with the market manipulation at the moment on the cryptocurrency and the shares, the stocks and all that, and the bonds and everything. So, but let us know what you mean. From what point of view are you coming from here? Let me know. Yeah, because I haven't really thought about it in terms of how it could affect our teams in the Premier League now. This is my opinion on other teams that I've watched, not including Wolves at all. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's good to hear it. That's good to hear it. We've been dreadful most of the season. Yeah, but look, I don't think the one thing you can take solace in, you're definitely not going down now. You're clear. So you don't have to worry about that. That's for sure. So yeah, that's one thing, because Ryan, from coming into the chat and all over the last couple of months and stuff like that, your biggest fear was relegation at one stage, and I think you're clear on that now. What are we thinking on this run-in, folks? Because obviously we have two interesting games coming up this week. Arsenal play first. I think Arsenal play first most of these games until they actually get to play us. So we've got West Ham on the Sunday and they've got Brentford on the Saturday, which to me is kind of two even enough games, so to speak. Yeah, it's good to finally be able to relax for the rest of the season. Pereira has done brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. It's so nice, isn't it, when you're not there, like, and it's like you're in the battle of it and stuff like that. Um, Although at times there's probably something satisfying, I'd imagine, if you're a team down there and you go into the battle and you get through it. You know what I mean? So but you don't want to be spinning the wheel on it, because the championship is just death row. Absolutely death row down there. It's insane, the number of games, and you can be so close, and then the disappointment that, good Lord, if you end up in the playoffs and that doesn't come true, how tough that is as well. It's mad the way that changes as well. You look at how Leeds have been flying so high, and now they're down in third, I think, and you've got Burnley's after lifting back up there again, and all the way it changes and all. And God, the playoffs, the pressure and the nerves must be absolutely insane. Liverpool to comfortably win the league. You'll beat West Ham. Yeah, I think we'll beat West Ham. And look, little prediction there. I think Arsenal and Brentford could be interesting. I think they'll have their eyes on other stuff, depending on how tomorrow night goes as well. We'll get into the Champions League as well. We'll go through that tonight as well. Then we got Leicester. I'd expect us to absolutely smash Leicester. I'm away from that. I'm over in Las Vegas for that one, actually. And then I would expect Arsenal to smash Ipswich. The interesting one's going to be those two as well. Crystal Palace, always kind of plucky as well, and have kind of inserted themselves slightly as well into a kind of a chance for a European spot, haven't they, as well? Spurs would be interesting, but it's at home. So that might be pivotal for us and stuff like that. We did a number on them at the second leg of the Carabao Cup while they were celebrating the first leg. The Chelsea one is an interesting one. Chelsea away. That could be a kind of a sticky one, especially with Chelsea still chasing that top 5 position potentially at that stage. And Bournemouth at home. At that stage, Bournemouth, I don't know, depending on where their position is, their race might be run in terms of European positions and stuff like that. So it'd be hard to tell. So that could be a pivotal week. And then we go into, obviously, the game against Arsenal, which could be really, really interesting. I don't think it would be a decider. I think at that stage it might be more a guard of honour, but we shall see. And then we've got Brighton, and they've got Newcastle. So Newcastle will be still up there in around that top 5, chasing that Champions League spot, I would imagine, still. And then the final day, of course, we're at home to Crystal Palace, and Arsenal are away Southampton. Southampton absolutely dead and buried. So I don't think we've nothing to worry about there. I think we'll be all right. I think we have to pick up somewhere in the region of 11 points, assuming Arsenal, win each week and stuff like that, which I don't know. That Brentford game could be a tough one. But yeah, I think there's enough in it there for us to get with Brighton. I think they'll probably have ran their course at that stage. So yeah, it should be okay. But let us know your thoughts. I had a conversation with my mate of mine who supports Liverpool. He said Liverpool are not affected because they are not on the stock exchange where United and Arsenal are. Okay, good one, Philip. The devaluing of the shares. Arsenal are on the stock exchange, are they? Arsenal are publicly quoted. I didn't realise Arsenal were publicly quoted. There you go. They're American owned, all right, but I didn't realise Arsenal were on the stock exchange. There you go. Good one. Yeah, I suppose there's other things that can affect it as well. Obviously, there'll be the importation of kits and jersey sales stateside and stuff like that. They may carry a tariff depending on what way they do it, depending on what way Nike and Adidas do it as well and stuff like that. But it's this whole thing is a bit of a mess, isn't it? It's we thought we were getting away from wars, and then we end up with these trade wars. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, no, the only problem is we are finding ourselves having these battles regularly now. Hopefully we can push on next season. I think the key for you, Ryan, the difficulty is the stability, really, isn't it, more than anything? Because if you can't find the stability in the squad, and it looks like Cunha's going to move on now, it looks like he's angling for a move at the end of the season, you might lose a couple more as well. Ait Nouri might go out as well, and that's the difficulty. The difficulty is uncovering those gems again. You've seen Brighton for years how good they've been at doing it, but that might be the difficulty. I hate the championship. It's so tough to get out of. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't hate it in a way where I don't like it and I don't like watching it, but I wouldn't fancy being a team down there at all. It's a war of attrition. I think Brentford get a point versus Arsenal. That Real game came at a perfect time. That Real game came at a perfect time. Yeah, sure did. Sure did. If we get 6 points from West Ham and Leicester, it'll be cemented. I think Arsenal drop points this weekend and Bournemouth before playing us. Yeah, I think so. They could drop points at Palace as well. Palace are now pushovers at the moment, and they'll be pushing for a European spot as well. Probably Europa or Europa Conference. So they'll want to push on and get that as well. So lots to play for at the moment. Shadow Play, what's happening? Good to see you, my friend. What's up? Roll me in the house. Roll me, give us your prediction when we go into the Champions League as well. Both of us tasted the rat of defeat this weekend. I did. I seen your boys losing the rag. Absolutely losing it. Did you see Jude? Absolutely canning that monitor. My God. Serious losing the head there. But, tomorrow night's an opportunity to make up for it. But certainly very, very interesting. Lads losing the rag, especially when they don't get their own way. Interesting. Right, we'll probably go ahead with... we'll start off with the Champions League because I'd like Marky to get involved in the Premier League if he can come on, If he makes it, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's no hassle. Roll me as well if you can. We are asking tonight if you could give us your all-time Premier League top 5 midfielders if you can. I posted it up there at the top. And if KDB isn't in it, it's mainly triggered by KDB, obviously announcing he's leaving Man City at the end of the season. So if you could do that, but if KDB isn't in your top 5, let us know where KDB ranks in your midfield selection, Premier League all-time selection. We need to slap around Arsenal and get these frauds out. Yeah, that's going to be some match tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to it. I pushed the wrestling show to Wednesday and all around me so I can watch that match. We'll have some crack watching that. That should be really, really good. Really looking forward to it. I always think Yaya Toure is criminally underrated. What a player. Sensational. Remember that season he had? Was that the season? Remember the season he had where he was top goal scorer for them or something like that? Absolutely sensational player. The only thing, if you look at some of the parameters that people use, some people use, goals and assists and GA, which mainly might not be too fair if you're a DM, say. Some people use the trophies, expectations. Gimme Sport, they did it. They used goals, assists, trophies, expectation, longevity, and the quality of the teams represented. Because you'll often hear from Liverpool fans like myself when Gerrard goes in there is you have to take into account some of the teams that Stevie played in, where he literally pulled the team along literally on his own at times. So it's all that kind of thing you take into account as well. But how do you arrive at your top 5? And it's there's not usually much of an argument in there. So it's really more centered around, does KDB make your top 5, Kevin De Bruyne, or does he not make your top 5? And let us know why. But yeah, it's all right. What a player. I don't have a top 5 Premier League now, mate. If it's La Liga, then we're cooking. It's just a question of picking them. If you want to think down through the years, who are the midfielders that stick out for you and stuff like that. He can place CDM. Unbelievable. KDB, let me talk, boy. Yeah, absolutely. Would you put him in there as your top 5? Look at all the trophies he won and everything else. Now, I know some people will come on and go, yeah, but some of these trophies are questionable and it's 115 charges and blah, 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 and all that. But at the moment, until anything comes out of that, we have to take it at face value. This is what they won. These are the medals that he has. Imagine a situation, and it's a tough one, but imagine a situation where you get that they come back and they say that, okay, they broke a load of these charges and they stripped them of the trophies and KDB was to leave stripped of all those medals. You know that Lance Armstrong effect? You know where he's sitting on his couch looking at his 7 yellow jerseys from the Tour de France and he literally doesn't own a single one of them anymore. They're literally all gone. Can you imagine Kevin De Bruyne's career where he'd be stripped of all his medals before he leaves at the end of the season? Just imagine. That would be insane, wouldn't it? Don't say it happening, but that would be crazy. He'll be in there with Alonso and Modric and Boyce with the last two. I wonder why. I wonder why. Would you have prime KDB or prime David Silva? There's a question. Silva for me as well, Romy. Spot on. David Silva was a sensational player, wasn't he? How good was David Silva? Good Lord. Now, listen, we're splitting hairs here, really, you know what I mean? Because imagine having the opportunity to pick between them, you know? So, but yeah, David Silva. Good Lord, what a player. Sensational. I think he's nearly back. He's nearly ready at this stage to play for the Legends, isn't he? Yeah, but David Silva, yeah, he was just a beautiful footballer, wasn't he? KDB's a lovely footballer as well, but David Silva, he just moved like silk across the turf, didn't he? And he just said, do you ever notice with David Silva, if you go back and look at David Silva playing, he never looked at the ball. He actually never looked at the ball. He always knew where the ball was at his feet and stuff like that. He was always surveying the pitch and stuff like that. Sensational player. Sensational. I agree, guys. David Silva for me as well. Loved him at Valencia. Then he was so good for City as well. Yeah, he was just insane. There is players there that you mentioned, David Silva, Yaya Toure, players like that, Aguero, obviously, you know, that literally spiked City at times up this path to where they found themselves and all, didn't they? They were just sensational players. Remember Fernandinho as well. Fernandinho, Vincent Kompany. Unbelievable players. Remember Fernandinho and they had him in midfield and he was sensational. And then they didn't replace Vincent Kompany and they dropped Fernandinho back into defence and he was a disaster. Disaster. We did it ourselves as well with Fabinho and with Jordan Henderson. Remember when the boys all got injured and all? It was insane. But yeah, absolutely. Roy Keane, top midfielder as well. Yeah, absolutely. Keane's in there. 100%. Joe Gomez from Igor Biscan on this day was unplayable. Absolutely. Gary Speed as well. He was made for a top team. He had such a good work engine. Yeah, absolutely. Gary Speed. Fernandinho as well. Yeah, just mentioned him always as well. Someone who doesn't really get a mention. Yeah, we say this all the time. Like when you think about players, like look at that great Chelsea side, and we talk about Makelele and stuff like that and all. And like really, the DM position on the team now has become so fundamental, hasn't it? And it's always in the spotlight. You know, Rodri's in there. What a player Rodri is as well. But you think about these DMs, Fabinho for us and all and stuff like that. And like back then, when you think about Kane and Vieira and all, they didn't really talk about DMs. DMs were just the destroyers. It wasn't really fashionable. All you needed was a brute in there who'd do a job and unbelievable and could just pass a ball off, you know. Now, DM is massive. It's on everyone's lips. Everyone talks about DM, and all, and how that's the engine, and that's the puppet master that pulls the strings around the pitch and stuff like that, you know. Igor Biscan on this day was unplayable. You mean unplayable as in, like, we couldn't pick him? Maybe. Good Lord. Joe Gomez from Wolves, unplayable as well. Yeah, absolutely. Perez, what a player. Never liked him, though, Romy. Never liked him. Always thought he was a prick. Always had a bad attitude and stuff like that, didn't he? But what about, talk to me about his playing partner. His playing partners were absolutely phenomenal in the middle of the park there, you know. Absolutely. But Perez was the one I never really liked. Remember he was always kind of he was golden lads and all the time. He was just an absolute asshole on the pitch. Robert Perez was Bruno Fernandes before Bruno Fernandes was a thing. And Petit was sensational as well. Remember Petit? Unbelievable. And what a pairing. But Perez, yeah. What a prick. Absolutely. SEM was brilliant. Yeah, what a player, SEM. I appreciated him more when I watched him live. Yeah, absolutely. Sensational player as well. When I watched him live against us back in the day. Yeah, serious. Shout out play Gary Speed. Bravo, sir. What a player he was. Yeah. Dino, we have such love in our hearts for Gary Speed and all that. Shame how it ended and stuff like that. What a player. So good. Philip, other ones who deserve honourable mentions, Frank Lampard, absolutely. Frank Lampard, Michael Essien, Xavi Alonso, Fernandinho, Claude Makelele, we just mentioned, David Silva, good Lord. And who didn't make my top 5 midfielders in the Premier League? Yeah, just sensational, isn't it? See, yeah, we're rattling these names off now, and we're thinking about sensational matches and how they played and all that kind of stuff. And then we're thinking, like, so how do we feel about this season? Is this season a bit bland? Is it a bit down? Is it a bit dire? And we're naming off all these guys who were unbelievable. Vieira, loved him. Vieira, yeah, that Kane Vieira thing was sensational as well. Yeah, Petrov for Villa was a machine. Yeah, absolutely. That Petrov, we're talking about the same Petrov, that Celtic Petrov as well. Yeah, same one, I think. Unbelievable, sensational. Seeing him playing the Legends game, incredible. Yeah. So that's it. So what are we thinking? Let's get into this Champions League and what we're thinking. And then we'll have a quick look at the Europa, obviously. So we got Arsenal. Give us your predictions in the chat there, folks. Big up, Doug. Doug's in, folks. Make sure you go over and you help Doug out, and make sure you're subscribing to his channel, checking out his content. Doug does some fantastic stuff over there. So make sure you're checking it out. Michael Carrick, unbelievable player as well. Yeah, absolutely. Carrick and Scholes, and yeah, sensational. I'm not even sure I could pick a top 5, to be honest. It will take me a while. Again, it just depends on the parameters that you're going to use, doesn't it? Like, if you think about it, like, most Liverpool fans won't use trophies as the parameter because of Stevie. Other United fans will obviously use trophies as the parameter because of the success that they had and stuff like that as well. So it's horses for courses and how you feel about it. But the real key thing is, and I often say this to people as well, if you're a manager today and all these boys are in their prime and you were given, say, for argument's sake, 200 million to build your midfield, who would you put in your midfield? And that's the asset test, really. Would you want Stevie G in your midfield? Would you want Frank Lampard, Kevin De Bruyne? Would you want David Silva? Who would you want in there, and who wouldn't you want? Who are the guys you would want in there? Ryan's going for a 2-1 win to Real Madrid tomorrow night, and that should end up probably being more than enough. There's also a number of Arsenal players, as far as I know, on yellow cards at the moment. So if they get booked tomorrow night, they'd be out of the second leg in the Bernabeu as well. So be interesting to see if Real Madrid rock up and not only try and win the game and play ball, but a little bit of the dark arts to take a few players out of the second leg. James Milner. There's a name, James Milner. What a midfielder, what a servant, what a player. Would play in any position. So many games for so many teams, such a success, won so much stuff as well. James Milner, sensational. And that's the thing. This is what we're talking about. Like when you're thinking about selecting your midfield, who would you want? You know, it's such an interesting dynamic. Doug's in. Arsenal, Madrid 2-0, Bayern 1-1 with Inter, PSG 2-1 over Villa. And Barcelona 3-1 against Dortmund. Yeah, Barcelona very, very strong in Europe this season. Romy's in with Darren Fletcher. Yeah, Darren, yeah, interesting. Even John McGinn has turned into a quality player, yeah. The only thing I would say about John, I like him and I like his engine. But I don't know, from a skill and a ball playing point of view, he's a Trojan, isn't he, in there? And you need them in your team. But at times he just lacks that eye for a pass, I think, anyway. So, but it's still a very, very good player. I think Madrid will sit in deep and play on the counter like they did against Man City. Interesting. Not a bad shout, Ryan. Not a bad shout. Arsenal and Real Madrid a draw. Bayern to beat Inter, PSG to beat Villa, and Barca to beat Dortmund. Did we give Villa a chance here, folks? If Villa was to keep it, if they were to keep it honest going into the second leg of Villa Park, let's suppose if they kept it to a 1-0 or a 2-1, do you think Villa would have a chance of going through? Could they do something if they got PSG back to Villa Park on a tight scoreline? Maybe. I don't know. Sensational. What about Look at Villa's business in January. Can you remember a team that did such good business in the January window? Every single player they've brought in that January window is absolutely knocking it out of the park. Rashford has found himself again. Asensio, unbelievable. Daniel Mallon, unbelievable. The players they brought in, and it's like you see them coming on. Some of them coming on as subs, super subs, that kind of thing, and all, and they're just really, really doing the business. We will dominate that Arsenal midfield. Yeah. Mm. I think you'll play those cards as well, round me as well. I think a number of these Arsenal players could be missing for the second leg. Because that's gonna be a big one. Ginola, top midfielder. I think he was a midfielder. Could be wrong. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Very, very good player. That's the thing about it, Romy, as well, isn't it? Depends on what you classify now as a midfielder or a forward or whatever it is, and the way we talk about tens and nines and false nines and all this kind of stuff. Dino's in 3 draws and a Barca hiding on Dortmund. Imagine a Barca Real final. Imagine an Arsenal Aston Villa final. Imagine that. Don't imagine too hard though, but just saying. 3 draws and a Barca hiding at Dortmund. Well, so you're going for a Villa draw now. Very good. 3 draws. That's a big bet, Dino, as well. You go for that with a bet, that'd be big money. Villa's recruitment is top notch. It really is under Emery, isn't he? Just absolutely unbelievable. Like to bring in those 3 guys, and like no one else even with a sniff, like no one else hardly even did anything in the window. But to bring those 3 guys in and the way they've hit the ground, Asensio is unbelievable. He's taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. Barca will smash Madrid if they meet. Wow, there's the call. Interesting. Be a sensational final, though, wouldn't it? Honestly, think Villa draw away and win at home. That's a great shout. Even if they kept it tight, even if it was a 1-0 or a 2-1, even if they're within a goal of them, I think they're in with a shout. Going back to Villa Park, Villa Park's a tough place to go, and especially when they're trying to hunt down a top 5 spot as well. Ryan G. Flick does have our ticket. Champions League, though, isn't it, Romy? Champions League. What was Arteta saying today? Did I see an Arteta quote today telling Carlo to bring over one of the trophies or something like that? Was he messing in jest in his press conference or something like that? I seen something today and I thought it was hilarious. I think I'm going to go Real. I'm going to go Bayern. I'm going to go PSG, but just tight, but I hope Villa do it. And I think Barcelona, I think this could be a long night in the new camp for Borussia Dortmund. Having said that, Borussia Dortmund last year, very, very unlucky and stuff like that and all, so who knows? Dortmund, not an easy place to go to either second leg, so let's see what happens. Europa for our sins. What are we thinking on this? Where's my Europa one? There it is. So we have Bodo Glimt versus Lazio. Bodo Glimt have shown signs at times when they've played decent opposition that they can do something, but I would expect Lazio to go through here. For Spurs, I don't know. I know they picked up a 3-1 win there at the weekend against Southampton and stuff like that, but I think this is going to be a tough day at the office for Spurs. I think Eintracht Frankfurt are very good. So it could be a tough one for them. They're not really playing well, Spurs. And then you got United, who are away at Lyon. Again, another tough one as well. Lyon, very, very good this season as well. Could be a tough day at the office for United, and a lot of pressure on United at the moment as well. Because they need to win this. They need to win this to get into European football and get into the Champions League. And if they don't do that, you're writing off anywhere between 50 and 100 million of revenue coming into you and stuff. And then where are they going to, trying to rebuild that team again and bring in the names that they want to bring in and the quality of player that they want to bring in for Amarin and stuff like that would be slightly a hell of a lot more difficult, one from an attraction point of view, even though it's Man United, but also, from a financial point of view as well. We know that the finances there at the moment are really, really tight, and we know that most of the time they've tried to operate in a sell to buy situation. It hasn't quite worked out, where players will sit on contracts and go, well, why would I move to West Ham on 150 grand a week when I'm here on 250 grand a week? And it's just, it's a difficult one for them. And then Rangers are entertaining Athletic Club, so Bilbao. So let me know your thoughts on this as well. I'm kind of probably thinking, I think the Lazio Bodo Glimt game might be a tight game, but I think Lazio overall in the second leg will pull it through. I think Spurs are going to find it very difficult. I think it could be a tightish enough game with Eintracht going out winners and then bringing them to Germany. I don't think they'd be very good on their travels. The United Olympic Lyon one, I think Lyon, it just depends. It depends on what Manchester United side show up. Sometimes they can show up and look really, really good. Although it was a dull affair yesterday, certainly I thought they were probably edged it as the better team in the derby. And they've shown that if they have an appetite for it against the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, they can do it on the day. But, they could get absolutely blown away if they don't show up, And then Rangers Bilbao. Bilbao, good team, So this could be a tough one as well, where I think Rangers might have a problem. Is that unfortunately they have the first leg at home. I think the leg away is what could be their undoing. So I'm probably thinking Bilbao, Lyon, Frankfurt, and Lazio. They're my picks anyway. So let me know your picks. Right, let's get in here. Arteta is like a baldy fighting over a comb. Yeah, he is, isn't he? Fair play to Marcus Rashford turning his career around, showing it was all on Eric Ten Hag and Amram. Love you, Dazzler. He's probably asleep. He's only back this afternoon from his trip away. I say Athletic Club versus Lazio final. Really? That's your picks, is it? Wow. Atletico versus Bilbao versus Lazio. There's a show. Nice show. Keep an eye on that, Romy. On Villa, it's all pressure on PSG. Villa can enjoy the occasion. Nobody saw them going this far. I think Asensio and Rashi will tear them asunder. Really? Interesting. Fair play. I like that, I like the sound of it. I'd love Villa to do really, really well. Bodo Glimt has the lowest budget in that Europa, and they're doing well. Fair play. They absolutely do. And there's an honesty about them when you see them playing, isn't it, as well? They're not... It's not like, some of these games when you see, especially in the league stages and stuff like that, you're looking at Bodo Glimt and you go, I really fancy watching that. But when you watch it, actually, they're as honest as the day is long in the way they play, and they'll give you 100% and stuff like that. But history would tell us probably Lazio, I would imagine. Lazio to win, Spurs, Frankfurt a draw, Lyon United a draw, and Bilbao. Interesting. So plenty to be decided then in the second legs. Dino's going for a Lazio. And then he's going for a draw with Spurs and Eintracht. And then he's going for Lyon with a win and Bilbao. Not too bad. Good shoot. Interesting. Right. No sign of Marky yet, so we'll get into the Premier League and we'll have a chat about it. Not gonna dwell on it too long, obviously. Dino, I did that graphic especially for you, by the way. I hope you like that graphic, Dino. I spent a bit of time working on that graphic today. Certain player holding up the Premier League trophy. I knew you'd enjoy it. But we started off with Everton and Arsenal and a very much a debatable penalty and stuff like that. Let me know on the trap. What did you do to our Trent? Who? Let me know, what did you think? A lot of talk about this penalty over the weekend and stuff like that Everton got. Jack Harrison was the one who went down, wasn't it? Miles Lewis Skelly. But let me know, what did you think? Is it a penalty for you guys? Was it soft? Was it easy? VAR, everything looking at it. What did you think? But it was given and it ended up 1-1. Opened up the door for us to extend to 14 points. And we made the bags of it. That's all we can say about it. Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 1. Big win for Crystal Palace. Wolves coming back. I think they were 1-0 down, Ryan. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they came back to win 2-1. I think Ipswich took the lead in that game. But that's a big win for Wolves and stuff like that. And I think very much relegation at this stage is decided. West Ham at Bournemouth 2-2. Let's see here. Pen all day. Skelly was like he was trying to get a piggyback. That's what I thought. People often talk about this, and see, this is where we get into this real kind of weird area of, arm pulls and jersey pulls, and these, what do they call them? These fleeting tugs, if you like, and stuff like that and all. And it's a weird area to be in, isn't it? A weird area when you're trying to make a decision. Yeah. Haha, could you not have went with best in the world, Bobby Firmino? I was trying to make a point, Dino. I was trying to make a point. Aston Villa with a big win against Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest kind of came alive second half, but Villa, the boy Rodgers, that boy Rodgers as well, absolutely on fire as well. Brentford and Chelsea 0-0. I think coming out, I think Ian was very disappointed in our WhatsApp group listening to him and stuff like that. I think he felt maybe Chelsea could have done a little bit more or shown a little bit more potentially to, kind of Chelsea's very much in this top 4, top 5 race and stuff like that. But they need to be putting 3 points on the board and stuff like that. They've some interesting matches coming up. And Brentford, not an easy place to go. Dino mentioned it yesterday in our chat as well. He was saying, like getting a draw at Brentford and getting a point and getting out there ain't always a bad result. But I think at this time of the year where you need that 3, because 3 points now in that top 5 race is huge at the moment. But 0-0. We were an absolute calamity yesterday. First half was just an absolute disaster. 3-1 down. After such a good start, we were very positive in our start as well. And then McAllister scored that absolute missile. Was absolutely phenomenal. And then just a calamity of mistakes. Konate, Andy Robertson, and then, Van Dijk getting turned like that. Most unusual. But I think it's another one of those days, it's weird, where we show up and we just seem to be like, just so relaxed and laid back and not on it, And then you look at the second half after 70 minutes when they make the changes, all of a sudden, boom, 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 the urgency's there and we're good to go and stuff like that. But when you give yourself an uphill task like that, we did have chances. Chiesa had a chance. Harvey Elliott was unlucky, hit the crossbar and stuff like that as well. But it was just such a flat performance at times until it came alive. And we really shouldn't be waiting to get to the 70th minute to want to start playing football and have an urgency and stuff like that. We did come out second half a little bit more about us, but some of the lads just looked really, really flat yesterday, And I said it in the match reaction. It's up there in the channel as well. I still don't understand with the amount of substitutions that we made on the front players that we took off. I don't understand why Mo Salah is immune to being subbed off when clearly yesterday he was probably our worst forward. Just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts if you think I'm wrong, but I just don't get it. He never gets subbed off. He plays 90 minutes. He's been absolutely horrible for about 4 or 5 weeks at this, maybe even 6 weeks at this stage. This back end of the season kind of drop off that tends to happen. I seen it myself firsthand last season when we played Palace at Anfield. He was absolutely shocking. And it's happened again this season as well. The ball's just bouncing off him. He's not controlling it. He's going at defenders, but not in the way that he normally does. He's losing the ball. We're coughing up passes. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Dale's teeth was brighter than my future. Yeah, absolutely. No, when we sign Trent, do we get the Muriel as well? You can have it. I think that might be already gone. I'm not too sure. I know there was talk that was gone. I know, but look at KDB. His letter to the City fans. Trent's still in hiding since it all came out. Plus, how do I love him again if he stays? Yeah, he's not staying though, is he? He's hardly staying. Mac 10 bargain of the season. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Liverpool were horrific, complacent if you like, stubborn management. Fail for Endo, Elliott and Chiesa. Real effort when they come on. There is, yeah. And it just, again, we spoke about it on a couple of shows as well. There's just a massive lack of trust there, isn't there, in the bench? He just simply doesn't trust the bench. And again, I don't know what it stems from. Does it stem from maybe the Plymouth game in the FA Cup or something like that, where these boys were getting 90 minutes and stuff like that, and it just didn't happen for one reason or another? And no disrespect to Plymouth, they held out well that day and stuff like that. But the likes of Harvey and the likes of Chiesa and all, that they got 90 minutes and they just didn't perform, And now he shouldn't hold that over them and stuff like that. But it just annoys me when there's options on the bench and you take so long to make that decision, and then you see Salah at the moment finishing out these games, and he's just not playing well. And it's a difficult one. So what do? Do you sit him down? You take him when you sub him off, he has a face like a slap backside, you know what I mean? So it's a real difficult one to call. I thought we moved away from the Klopp leaving his buddies on when underperformed, i.e. Salah. Be awful since before PSG. Looks disinterested. Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's a lot going on there in the background as well. And we did say this contractual stuff would eventually catch up to us on the pitch. The only thing, thank God, is that we had built up quite a points total or a points gap between Arsenal. Because I tell you now, if that gap reduced heavily, I'm not sure some of these boys would have the stomach to go at it. Trent was vibing to Boney M yesterday. Sonny thinking of Spain. Yeah, saying him he was in the tunnel at the matches as well, wasn't he? He was in the tunnel at the Everton game, getting shoved around and stuff like that and all. I don't know if that play acting or what it is, but certainly got a frosty reception when he came back into training in the AXA. That Man United bench yesterday was pathetic. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just that job at United is just. It's so big, and like they're up to their gillies in debt. You know what I mean? They have a selection of players there they want to get out the door that are on crazy money, and I just don't know whether they're going to be able to get them out the door. I just don't see it. It's going to be tough. Tottenham picking up a good win, 3-1 against Southampton. They raced into a lead pretty good, and then Matthias Tell, of course, with a penalty right at the death to seal it 3-1. That felt like a big win for Tottenham and also relegated Southampton. And sometimes you look at these teams and they get relegated and you kind of feel for them and stuff like that. But I think Southampton this year, I don't think they invested the money that they receive and stuff like that. And I think you live and die by that sword if you don't invest the money in. Yeah, I think it's a real problem. Romy's in and survives again. Yeah, just about. I think, to be honest with you, I think the Europa League, I think, will be the saving grace. I think if they were to go out on Thursday and get absolutely walloped up by Eintracht, or if it looked like it was going to be done, I think we might see the back of Ange. I'm actually looking at it as well, and I'm listening to his interviews as well. Does anyone else think as well that he just kind of doesn't want to be there, that he's had enough? He sounds like he wants out himself. Because this lack of, like, when you start going up against the fans as well and stuff like that and all, you're in a real predicament, aren't you? A real tough predicament. Ange must love Flores. He stares at it an awful lot. I said that, Robbie. Remember at the start of the season? Remember when they were winning and stuff like that? And he used to come out with the chest of you and all, and the rules are there for everyone. We shouldn't be abusing referees and VAR. The look evens itself out. Remember he was giving it all this big balls on last season as well, And now you look at him now. He looks like a lad that's gone through AA and he's just lost it totally. Like he looks dishevelled. He's being interviewed. He's looking down at the floor. He's having a go off every single journal that asks him a question. He's giving it large to the fans, and he's in no position to be doing that. He's in no position to be doing that at the moment. He's way off it at the minute. Way off it. So that's your roundup of your Premier League. Man, how are we going tonight? What's the latest update from tonight's game? I think they were 3-0. Finished 3-0, actually. Interesting. Finished 3-0. That's a big win for Newcastle, obviously away at Leicester, especially with Newcastle. They've had 2 good wins now after celebrating the win in the Carabao Cup and stuff like that. So important for them. Vital for Newcastle as well that they get Champions League football as well, because Eddie, as good as they've been and stuff like that and all, I know Eddie still has plenty of thoughts and ideas and stuff he wants to do with them and stuff like that. Ryan, can't believe Ange's still in a job, to be honest. Yeah, it's horrific. It's really horrific. Like in the actual the record and the results and the losses and now they have had a selection of injuries as well, you know what I mean? But they've brought in, like, they've been unlucky with the likes of Solanke. They haven't really felt the Solanke vibe really that was there at Bournemouth. He had a little kind of purple patch there for a while where he was doing well. Madison is nowhere near, that Leicester Madison and stuff like that. He's way off at times. Brennan Johnson, again, certainly a shadow of the Brennan Johnson. I know he got 2 goals. I think he scored both goals in the 3-1 win with Matthias Tell getting the penalty. but still way off, nowhere near the Brennan Johnson that we've seen in Notts Forest. And then you have a kind of a midfield that kind of, I don't know, I kind of get Everton vibes off that midfield that it's more interested in being nasty than kind of, being progressive and playable and stuff like that and all. And then at the back, there's been so much change at the back between the keepers and between the back four that's playing and stuff like that. They have had every different variation of that back four between Archie Gray, Romero, Udogie, Jed Spence. I mean, Jed Spence has probably been probably their most consistent performer this season, Jed Spence, I would say. And prior to this season and prior to the injuries, they didn't even want him. So yeah, it's a weird one. He gave up Champions League and trophies with Celtic for Spurs. Yeah. Yeah, but I think look the draw the Premier League. I know Celtic, phenomenal club and stuff like that and all, and but the Premier League is really it's where you want to manage, isn't it? If you're not managing in La Liga or whatever it is, but the Premier League it's where the big bucks is as well, isn't it? Newcastle up the fifth with a game in hand. Yeah, they're looking really good at the moment, and it's good to see as well. There's been no drop off from putting that trophy in the cabinet, that Carabao Cup against us. You know what I mean? Because they could have dropped off, but they didn't. Yeah, fifth. Spurs is a poison chalice. Doesn't matter who's there. Yeah, it's kind of like it's. The only thing about it, and I would say, and we've spoke about it before, even myself and Darren have spoke about Spurs quite a bit, and what it is there seems to be a budget there every year. So let's suppose they want to spend 200 million. Instead of spending 200 million and get like 50 million quality players out there or whatever it is, or, maybe 60 million players and a 20 million with a loan or something like that. They tend to go for the next level down, and you kind of reap what you sow, because if you're not going to go for that top tier player and stuff like that, because look, they have a phenomenal setup and they've everything there. The only thing they lack is kind of that little bit of structure between the board and the directors of football and the manager, to put that plan seamlessly in place. They have a fabulous stadium. They have a huge fan base. You know what I mean? And at times they play really, really good football, but you look at Son. Son looks like he's ran his course. What a phenomenal player he's been for them. And we kind of knew that with Kane leaving as well, that we could expect a bit of a drop-off, because the two of them in tandem were phenomenal. So when you take one leg away, you're hopping along, it's a real tough one. But I think with Spurs, Spurs need to reassess the way they operate in the market, because they're spending a lot of money, but they're not reaping the success of it. And I don't know, Ange started out all right, but he seems to have lost his way. The British media, the fans, and the level of expectation at clubs sometimes can just eat you up and spit you out. And once that ball starts rolling, you're in trouble. They don't play to Solanke's strengths, absolutely, and people use the injury excuses for Spurs, but the form has been poor, even with a fit 11. Yeah, I mean, at times they've had some players out there and stuff but I mean, they have had, they've been playing a back line with Archie Gray in there. He's only a kid, came in from Leeds, so it's a tough one to call, and it's Spurs is one of those teams that the way they operate, they need a fully fit squad. They don't have that squad. You're not gonna look to their bench and replace like for like. It's just not there. So they really need Romero in there. They need Mickey van de Ven. They need those guys playing all the time. They lost Bentancur for a lengthy period of time as well. He's kind of being their talisman in midfield, but has come back and looked a shadow of himself. Basuma has looked a shadow. Started out okay with Spurs, but has really looked a shadow of himself since he left from Brighton and stuff like that. Certainly not the Basuma that was at Brighton. And like I said, the drop off from Son. And then you have the likes of the other boys up from Madison has been kind of in and out and being injured as well. Brennan Johnson really not delivering on the reason why they bought him from Forest. Has struggled. And again, we said Solanke, they're not playing to his strengths, but they were never going to kind of play a Bournemouth kind of way, were they? So, yeah, great. And just style of play is the main issue, in my opinion. Kamikaze football, yeah. I mean, we've seen it a number of times this year where he plays that high line when he should, and he doesn't change it. But Yeah, it's just stubbornness. Just stubbornness. Romero looks like he wants out. I hope he goes to Malaga. We don't want him. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's not going to go to you guys anyway. I'd be surprised if he did. That for me would be a strange move for Real. When you look at the quality that's there, like why would you go? I don't think Romero's of that standard. I really don't. I don't think he's a bad footballer, but I don't think he's Real levels. I think Atletico would be the perfect move for him. Yeah, it's a great shout, Ryan. Great shout. My God, would he fit? Imagine the shithousery with him and Simeone together. Good lordy. We get a lot of red cards. Atletico, only time he played for them is as a mannequin training. Yeah. There we go. But he'd have that kind of attitude, wouldn't he? Shadow play, they've been linked with him recently and only say that because half of his Argentinian teammates are Atletico. Yeah, not a bad show. Not a bad show. Spurs fans, chin up. You have Beyonce showing up to entertain you. Yeah, absolutely. And I only say that, yeah. 100%. Another club he'd win nothing at then. Shots fired. Half the injuries are down to Andres Kamikaze football as well. Yeah, I mean that can be it. Like, you know what I mean. I spoke to Mark last week. We were talking about injuries and we were having a look at the Arsenal injury situation. I also looked at it with Darren as well. And you'd be thinking, is this a style of training? Is this not proper recovery? Is this the amount of football? We can look at Gabriel now, who's out injured for the season and stuff like that, who went off on international duty, comes back, is he playing on questionable pitches? Is he training on questionable pitches when he's away with the Brazil team? What's that like compared to when he comes home and then he's at the Emirates? You've got all the travel time and time zones and everything else. So what way does that work out? I don't know. It's very hard to put your finger on it, but I'd love someone to take the Premier League, especially this season, because this season seems to have been a massive glut of injuries. And what they should do is the Premier League should hire someone in sports science to go in, take a look at all the clubs and put together a report and actually see what's going on. Because with the amount of injuries that's happened this year, and that's probably a key point when we spoke about the Premier League this year, has the quality gone down? Has the standard dropped and stuff like that? Maybe it's a case in some cases that it has, because some of the top players have just been consistently out injured or gotten really bad injuries that ended their season. So maybe that's part of it as well. Who knows? Used to really like Basuma. He's fell off a cliff. Yeah, what a player he was. Remember for Brighton? Remember that box-to-box play for Brighton? He was absolutely sensational. Basuma is the new Dele Alli. Great player until Spurs get their hands on them. Yeah, you're not wrong. I hope Madrid go and steal Saliba off Arsenal so we can see the meltdown. Can you imagine? And listen, don't think it won't happen. Because if Real want you, they'll get you. I want Gabriel instead. Do you? Over Saliba? Interesting. Take both. Imagine Real wanted to sign both of them. Good Lord. I can't say happen. Good Lord. The meltdown will be insane. He's been better than Saliba this season, but he's like 28 now, isn't he? Saliba is only young, so I think he would be the better move for Madrid. Yeah, the only thing I'd say is Gabriel's, especially his goal return and stuff like that, he's unbelievable from set pieces, isn't he? And he's a real, like, when I look at Gabriel, I see Gabriel and I think of like that kind of, that all-in 100% attitude, like Rudiger. The way you say Rudiger, he'd absolutely kill you to win a match. And I see that in Gabriel as well. Can you imagine a Gabriel Rudiger? Interesting. True. Murillo is a centre-back I want over Saliba and Gabriel if I had to pick one. What about his, Romy, what about his dance partner? His dance partner beside him ain't too shabby either. And I think they would both go. They could both go potentially for reasonable money. Murillo's an absolute warrior, but that boy Mikalenkovic is beside him. What a player he is. And not only that, I seen him in the tunnel the other day for a match. He's a fucking monster as well, isn't he? The size of him. He is ginormous. You even see him standing beside Murillo. He makes Murillo look small, and Murillo's a unit. So yeah, absolutely, 100%. Let's take some Irish League of Ireland stuff in for the moment as well. Keep on letting me know, folks, as well about your midfielders if you want or whatever it is. And we will continue chatting about it. So let's get into the Premier League first of all. Bohemians, of course, starting out with a big 4-2 win against Sligo Rovers. I had mentioned on the preview on Thursday that I thought Bohemians were just lacking goals and stuff like that, but they seem to have found their scoring boots. And I don't know if you guys seen that last goal from Bohemians by Devoy. I think it was Devoy. He absolutely lobbed the keeper nearly from the halfway line, and it was a sensational goal. Up the Pats, Ryan, up the Pats. Yeah, absolutely. Not a great result. Like, it was a 0-0 against Shells and stuff like that. Neither kind of deserved to win or lose, but still, just off top. So good show after coming back well as well. Yeah, good shout, but we love the Brazilian vibes. There you go. You do. Agbadu as well for us has been absolutely brilliant for us since he's come in, being a monster. Yeah, absolutely. Darren talks about that boy all the time, actually. Talks about that boy all the time. Top quality. Up the Pats. There you go, Ryan. Yeah, absolutely. We give you Mendy for him. There we go, yeah. Derry with a big win against Cork 2-1. Cork on their travels, we said, may not be the same Cork that we get a turn across. Draw to cement in their position at the top of the league as well with a 2-0 win over Waterford. Rovers with a huge win away at Galway 1-0. Galway being very good this season, sitting in third, and they've been scoring goals as well. But Rovers going away with a win, away 1-0 and a clean sheet as well. Huge for Shamrock Rovers as well. And I kind of feel looking at Rovers this year as well, it's kind of going to be that way, isn't it? It's going to be patient and kind of methodical, but you're not going to get huge score lines. But they will keep clean sheets and they will score goals, so they'll get the points on the board and stuff like that. But they really needed that, because at one stage there a couple of weeks back they were looking like they were going to get a bit detached. And the kind of table has kind of flipped a little bit as well, which you have Waterford and Cork down there. Bow's obviously moving up the table now after not a great start to the season. They needed to pick up their wins and stuff like that after 5 losses and 3 wins out of 8. It's not great form, but they're starting to find their form now, that's for sure. And then Shelbourne and Pats, Dublin Derby, just kind of whittled out. I watched it the other day. There wasn't a whole lot really to talk about it, to be honest. It was two teams kind of back and forth, but you never felt that anyone really wanted it, Derry City up to 6. That's the beautiful Andre Wisdom effect this year. Absolutely. More Andre than Wisdom, though, probably. Yeah, but yeah, Derry up to 6. So the table is starting to structure itself. The only kind of anomaly there is kind of like, obviously Drogheda are doing so well and stuff like that, and obviously Galway's still up there as well. But otherwise, there'd be a similar feel to it. I think St. Pat's this year are going to be very dangerous because they've started off very well. Whereas if you remember last year, they started off really slow and they had a lot of making up to do. But this year they started off pretty strong, so they'll have less making up to do. And we know that Pats, if you go back and look at the last 10 games of the season last season, they were the form team, really. They were the ones coming with that late charge and just ran out of games. But yeah, go check out that Devoy goal for Bohemians. It was absolutely sensational. If we have a look then at Division 1, I'm just going to follow this because Bray is my club. Bray is my local club and stuff. So Bray picking up a win 1-0 away at Athlone Town. That'll feel like a big 3 points for them. Eno's in. Big up, Eno. How are you, my friend? The fella in the green and white shirt. There you go. The fella in the green and white shirt. Bray winning 1-0. Wexford with a big win over Cove. Cove have been playing really well. Kind of felt like a kind of a shock win as well, but Wexford winning 3-1. Well, I think we mainly predicted Cove would take the points there, but we got it wrong. Finn Harps and Longford 1-1. Kind of what you've expected, both in around the same level, around the same area in the table. Treaty 3-0 win over Kerry. Good win. Kerry bottom of the table at the moment. Obviously Treaty up in fourth, having a real good start to the season. And Dundalk edging out the students at UCD. Dundalk on a tear this season. Looks like they're going to run away with the league. The gap already 7 points. Dundalk sitting on top 22. John Temple absolutely delighted with himself, both on the pitch and off the pitch, and all the great stuff they're doing there up in Dundalk at the moment. Myself and Marky will be taking a trip up there at some stage to see John and have a chat with him and all, and go through some of the wonderful stuff they're doing there at Dundalk at the moment. But certainly Dundalk in this league at the moment really looking more like the Dundalk we would have wanted to see last year in the Premier League, and no doubt I think their promotion is on the card straight away, unless they pick up a bunch of injuries or something like that. They look like they're going to walk away with it. My own team, Bray, up to second, thank God, because they were struggling as well earlier in the season, so happy to see them up to second as well. But again, we'll keep an eye on Division 1 as well, as we always do. I'm going to get over to the Brandywell for a game to see Derry City. Absolutely. Let us know when you're coming over. And we'll get something done. Noel, you're from Ballard's neck of the woods. That's cool as fuck. Yeah, Ballard's family home is about a 15-minute drive from my house here. Yeah, Ballard's on the Wicklow side, if you like, of Bray. And I'm just the next town down. I'm Greystones and stuff like that. So, yeah, good spot to be in. Obviously, Bray Wanderers, man, always. I'm good, Niall. Don't know this Ian chap. So they say. So that's your roundup for the League of Ireland. I will be back on Wednesday night. I think that covers everything tonight, folks. Marky didn't make it. He was obviously caught up in no hassle. We got him back on. I'm back on Wednesday night for Pro Wrestling Weekly. Bren is going to be joining me. The Shawnee boys, I think they're caught up. Shawnee Bros, they're caught up at the moment. But Bren will be back on. This will be our go home episode for WrestleMania, because obviously next Tuesday, tomorrow week, I'm flying out to Vegas for WrestleMania, so I will bring you a bit of content from there. We'll be doing WrestleCon and a few other things. I think we're going to a Hardy show. We're attending a karaoke night with Santino Marella. Lots of fun, so we'll film some of that and have a bit of fun and stuff like that. But this will be the go-home show, so check it out on Wednesday night. Give us your thoughts on WrestleMania and how it's shaping up and stuff like that. And also, it'll be a good show with me and Bren. And then on Thursday, I'll be back Thursday Tier Talk with Darren, the usual. So we'll have the beat, the bookie, and all the usual good stuff that goes on with that. We'll be on your screens at 9 o'clock for that one, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you're checking out as well some of the videos and some of the shorts that we put up over the weekend. Darren was on a trip over with his son Brody, who celebrated his 10th birthday. So they went over on Saturday morning, went up and attended the Villa Park game against Nottingham Forest. What a banger of a game that was as well. Absolutely unbelievable. And then he stayed in St. George's, the England camp base. The Lionesses were training there, and he did some videos there and a bit of a walk around. And then he headed up to Old Trafford for the Merseyside Derby. And then he stayed in the Marion in Manchester last night. He went to the Don Carlos's restaurant, and who was there? Only Matthias de Ligt. And he got pictures with Matthias de Ligt, and he got autographs and all that kind of stuff. So a sensational weekend for a 10-year-old's birthday. Big up to Brody, so we give him always a shout out and stuff like that. And Darren, of course, being that absolute stellar dad, putting on a weekend like that for your son's 10th birthday. Absolutely sensational. Niall, do you know Mar's parents is from Athlone? Johnny Marr. What am I missing here? Johnny Marr. Give me more information. Johnny Marr. Let me know. I'd like to know. Great stream, Niall. See you on the next one, and take care. Ryan, always a pleasure having you on, man. Absolutely stoked as well, Ryan, that you're safe in the Premier League and stuff like that as well. It's absolute quality. The Smiths guitar, sorry, Jesus. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I used to live in a house up the Dublin Mountains years ago, Romy. And up on the mountain just above us, we had a house there that was Elvis Costello's, and we also had Def Leppard. Joe Elliott used to live up that hill as well, up the Stepside Hill and stuff like that. And the boys used to frequent all the time. They'd be drinking in the Blue Light and Johnny Fox's, two of the highest pubs in Ireland and stuff like that and all. Yeah, so absolutely the Smiths guitarist Johnny Marr. Yeah, well, Athlone. Yeah, I love the Smiths. I do. Yeah, they're quality, aren't they? Quality. It always felt weird, didn't it? When you had the Smiths, then it always felt weird after that. Then when Morrissey went down on his own, you know. Thank you, Niall, and congratulations to Liverpool. Glad you're all winning the league this year. Appreciate it, Ryan. Fingers crossed, touch wood, everything else that all pans out and goes well. Don't want anything going wrong in that area and stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. And listen, best of luck to Romy and everyone else for the matches in the Champions League and stuff like that. Best of luck to Villa and everyone else. And we'll track it tomorrow night and have a lot of fun. The Smiths band, all Irish parents. I didn't know that now. That's interesting. It's interesting. I must look into that actually. That's pretty cool. That is very, very cool. It's mad, isn't it, when you find out stuff like that? Really cool. Right, I better jump off, guys. So if you can, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like in the video. All the stuff you know already. Unfortunately, Mark didn't join us, but I hope we filled in adequately. Normally I'm the host, but I don't get to talk this much. I'll probably have no voice tomorrow, but we shall see. Have a safe week, folk. I hope your teams win the matches that they're in and stuff like that. Roll on the weekend for the Premier League. And next week, baby, we got Vegas, we got WrestleMania. It's going to be absolutely sensational. Talk to you real soon.